Tom Jenkins stretched his arms toward the morning sun. It was Saturday and the weather was perfect for hiking. Next to him, Sarah was packing their small backpack with water bottles and sandwiches. Their dog Max, a brown terrier with one white ear, ran circles around them, his tail wagging fast. "Ready for our walk?" Sarah asked, patting Max on the head. The small dog barked happily. Tom and Sarah loved hiking. Every weekend, they left their small apartment in the city to spend time in Pine Grove Forest. They had normal jobs. Tom fixed computers, and Sarah taught children at a school. Their life was simple, but they were happy. "I found a new path we can try today," Tom said, looking at a map on his phone. "It goes deeper into the forest than we've been before." Sarah smiled and put on her red hat. "Sounds fun. I hope we see some deer." They drove for 30 minutes until they reached the forest entrance. The parking lot was almost empty. Most people came to the forest later in the day, but Tom and Sarah liked to start early. The forest was quiet and peaceful. Tall pine trees made a roof of green above them. Sunlight came through in bright spots on the ground. Birds sang in the branches, and sometimes they saw squirrels running up trees. Max walked ahead, his nose close to the ground, smelling everything. The path was narrow and covered with brown pine needles. Tom and Sarah walked side by side, their shoes making soft sounds on the forest floor. "Look at those flowers," Sarah said, pointing to small purple blooms growing between tree roots. Tom took a picture with his phone. "We should remember this spot. We can come back and see if they spread next year." They walked for an hour, going deeper into the forest than ever before. The trees here were older and bigger. The air felt different too, cooler and somehow heavier. "Are you sure we're still on the right path?" Sarah asked, looking around. The forest seemed darker here, even though it was only noon. Tom checked his phone. "That's strange. No signal here." He put his phone away. "But I can still see the path. Let's go a little further, then we can turn back for lunch." Max suddenly stopped walking. His ears stood up, and he made a low growl. "What is it, boy?" Tom bent down to pet him. Max kept looking ahead, then barked 3 times. Sarah looked where Max was staring. "Tom, do you see that?" Between 2 large oak trees, about 50 feet ahead, was a strange light. It wasn't sunlight. It was blue and seemed to float in the air. It was small at first, like a firefly, but as they watched, it grew bigger. "Maybe someone is camping and lit something," Tom suggested, but he didn't sound sure. The light got brighter and bigger. Now it was the size of a dinner plate, floating about 5 feet off the ground. It didn't look like fire or a lamp. It looked like a hole in the air, filled with blue light. "We should go back," Sarah whispered, but she didn't move. The light was beautiful, almost magical. Max barked again and ran toward the light. "Max!" "No," Sarah called, running after the dog. Tom followed her. "Sarah, wait." As they got closer, the light suddenly expanded. In seconds, it was as big as a door. A strange humming sound filled the air, and Tom felt his skin tingle. Max reached the light first and jumped right through it, and disappeared. "Max!" Sarah cried and ran faster. "Sarah, stop!" Tom yelled, but it was too late. Sarah reached the light and tried to stop, but it was like the light pulled her in. 1 second she was there, the next she was gone. Tom stood frozen for a moment. His dog and his girlfriend had just vanished into a strange light in the middle of the forest. Without thinking more, he ran forward. He had to find them. As he touched the light, he felt a strong pull. The forest around him disappeared. There was a flash, so bright he had to close his eyes. He felt like he was falling and spinning at the same time. And then everything changed. Tom landed hard on the ground. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. His head was spinning, and his eyes hurt from the bright flash. He lay still, trying to make sense of what happened. Tom, are you okay?" Sarah's voice came from somewhere to his left. Tom opened his eyes slowly. The first thing he noticed was the color of the sky. It wasn't blue. It was a deep purple with streaks of orange. And there were two suns in it, one big and yellow, one smaller and red. What? Tom sat up carefully. The ground under him wasn't dirt or pine needles. It was covered in something like grass, but it was purple and soft, like velvet. Sarah was kneeling beside him, her face pale. Max was in her arms, whining softly. "Where are we?" Tom asked, looking around. They were in a large field of purple grass. In the distance, strange trees with blue trunks and silver leaves swayed in the wind. The air smelled different, sweet, and a little metallic. "I don't know," Sarah whispered. "When I came through that light, I was here." Max was already running around, barking at those things. She pointed up. Tom gasped. Floating in the air were creatures that looked like jellyfish, but they were flying. They had see-through bodies that changed colors as they moved, and long, thin tentacles that trailed behind them. There were at least 20 of them, drifting slowly in the sky. "This can't be real," Tom said. He pinched his arm hard. "Ouch." "It's real," Sarah said. "We're really here, wherever here is." Tom stood up carefully. His legs felt weak. He turned in a circle, trying to see everything. Then he saw something that made his heart stop. In the distance, maybe a mile away, was a city, but not like any city on Earth. The buildings were tall and twisted, like giant crystals growing from the ground. They shimmered in the light of the two suns, changing colors from blue to green to purple. "Sarah, look at that," he said, pointing. Sarah stood up next to him, still holding Max. "It's beautiful," she said. But before they could say more, they heard a new sound. A deep rumbling, like thunder, but steady and getting louder. "What's that noise?" Sarah asked, looking up. The sky was changing. Dark spots were appearing, growing larger. As they watched, the spots became ships, huge metal ships flying through the air. They were different shapes and sizes. Some were long and thin, like arrows. Others were round like discs. They had lights flashing on them, and they moved fast. "Those are spaceships," Tom said, his voice shaking. "Actual spaceships." Suddenly, flashes of light shot between the ships. Explosions lit up the purple sky. One ship, hit by several blasts, started smoking and falling. "They're fighting. We need to hide," Sarah cried. But there was nowhere to go. The field was open, with the nearest trees too far away. The damaged ship was coming down fast, heading right for the field where they stood. Tom grabbed Sarah and Max and pulled them down to the ground, covering them with his body. The ship crashed about 200 yards away. The ground shook like an earthquake. Pieces of metal flew through the air. One piece landed just feet away from them, smoking and hissing. When the noise stopped, Tom looked up. The ship was a burning wreck. The other ships were still fighting overhead, but they were moving away. "Are you okay?" he asked Sarah. She nodded, her face dirty from the dust kicked up by the crash. Max was trembling in her arms. Then they heard a new sound, a groan coming from the crashed ship. Something was moving in the wreckage. "Someone's alive in there," Tom said. They watched as a figure crawled out of the broken ship. It stood up slowly, swaying a little. It wasn't human. The creature was tall, at least 7 feet. Its skin was blue, like the ocean. It had long arms and legs, with too many joints. Its head was shaped wrong, too wide, with 6 eyes that blinked at different times. It wore something like armor, but the material looked like it was alive, shifting and changing colors. The creature saw them and froze. All 6 of its eyes focused on Tom and Sarah. Then, to their complete shock, it spoke in perfect English. "Humans," it said, its voice deep and rumbling. "You've come at a terrible time." Tom and Sarah stood frozen, staring at the blue alien. Max growled softly in Sarah's arms. You speak English." Tom finally asked. The alien touched something on its wrist. A small light blinked. Translation device, it explained. It learns languages quickly. The alien looked at the sky where the other ships were still fighting. We must move. It's not safe here. Who are you? Sarah asked, still keeping her distance. My name is Zorn. I am a scout for the Vex. The alien's 6 eyes blinked in an odd pattern. And you are humans from Earth. Tom stepped forward. I'm Tom. This is Sarah and our dog, Max. How do you know about Earth? Zorn made a sound like a sigh. We have known about your planet for a long time. Sometimes, portals open between our worlds, usually just for a few moments. He looked at the purple grass. You came through such a portal, yes. Sarah nodded. A blue light in the forest. How do we get back? The portals are not stable. They open and close randomly. No one knows why or when. Zorn's voice sounded sad. You are on planet Krell now. A loud explosion made them all look up. One of the ships above burst into flames and began to fall. We cannot stay here, Zorn said urgently. The Mara will come looking for survivors. The Mara? Tom asked. Our enemies. We've been at war for 10 years. Zorn pointed to a line of rocks about 100 yards away. We must hide there for now. Tom and Sarah followed Zorn to the rocks. They were large and formed a small cave-like space. Once inside, they could see the whole field but were hidden from view. Why are you fighting with the Mara? Sarah asked, setting Max down on the ground. The dog stayed close to her legs, watching Zorn carefully. Resources, territory, old hatreds. Zorn's armor shifted colors, turning darker. The war has gone on so long that many forget why it started. The ground suddenly shook as another ship crashed far in the distance. Your war seems terrible, Tom said. All wars are terrible, Zorn replied. But things changed when humans started appearing on Krell. Other humans? Sarah asked, surprised. There are more of us here. Zorn nodded. Not many. Perhaps 30 or 40 over the last 5 years. They came through portals like you did. Where are they now? Tom asked. Zorn was about to answer when he suddenly stiffened. Quiet, he whispered. Mara scouts. Tom and Sarah peeked over the rocks. 5 creatures were walking across the field toward Zorn's crashed ship. They looked different from Zorn. They had red skin and 4 arms. They carried weapons that glowed green. They are checking for survivors, Zorn whispered. If they find us. The Mara reached the crashed ship. They looked inside, then started searching the area around it. They were getting closer to the rocks. Stay here, Zorn said. If they find you, they will take you. Take us where? Sarah asked, her voice trembling. To use your power, Zorn said. Before they could ask more, he stepped out from behind the rocks. The Mara spotted him immediately. They shouted in a language Tom and Sarah couldn't understand. Zorn answered in the same language. The Mara pointed their weapons at him. Then one of the Mara noticed movement behind the rocks. He saw Tom and Sarah. Humans. The Mara shouted in English. His voice was higher than Zorn's, almost like a hiss. Give them to us, Vex. Zorn moved to block their view. They are under my protection. The lead Mara laughed. Your protection. You are 1 injured scout. We are 5 warriors. Then come and take them, Zorn said. Something slid from his wrist into his hand, a weapon that glowed blue. The Mara attacked. They moved incredibly fast, all 4 arms swinging weapons. Zorn moved even faster. He dodged, jumped, and fought back with strength that seemed impossible for his thin body. Tom and Sarah watched in shock as Zorn fought all 5 Mara. His blue weapon cut through the air, leaving trails of light. 2 Mara fell quickly. The others backed away, then turned and ran. Zorn watched them go, then turned back to Tom and Sarah. His blue skin had a cut that leaked purple blood. They will return with more warriors, he said. We must reach the Vex city before they do. Wait, Sarah said. What did they mean about taking us? What power do humans have? Zorn looked at them with all 6 eyes. That is why the war never ends, he said quietly. Because of what humans can do here on Krell. Zorn led Tom and Sarah across the purple fields, moving quickly. The 2 suns were starting to set, painting the sky with streaks of red and gold. In the distance, the crystal city shimmered with changing colors. How far is your city? Tom asked, trying to keep up with Zorn's long strides. We will reach it before dark, Zorn replied. His blue skin was starting to heal where he was cut. The wound was closing on its own, much faster than a human wound would heal. Sarah carried Max, who was getting tired. You still haven't told us what the Mara want with humans, she said. Zorn slowed his pace a little. It is difficult to explain. On your world, humans are ordinary. Here on Krell, you are special. Special how? Tom asked. Your brains work differently from ours, Zorn said. The way you think creates energy that our machines can use. Energy that makes our weapons stronger, our shields harder to break. Tom frowned. That doesn't make sense. How can thoughts create energy? Everything creates energy, Zorn said. But human thoughts make a kind that we can use easily. We discovered this by accident when the first humans came through a portal. They walked in silence for a while. Tom and Sarah tried to understand what Zorn was saying. Could their thoughts really be valuable on this planet? As they got closer to the city, they saw more Vex. Some were working in fields of strange plants. Others were standing guard along the path. All of them stopped to stare at the humans. They've never seen humans before, Zorn explained. Most Vex haven't. The city walls were made of the same crystal-like material as the buildings. They changed color as Tom and Sarah approached, shifting from blue to purple. The walls sense new life forms, Zorn said. They are studying you. Guards at the city gate stood at attention when they saw Zorn. They wore armor similar to his, but with different patterns. They spoke quickly in their language, looking at Tom and Sarah with great interest. Zorn answered, then turned to the humans. I've told them you are under my protection. They will take us to Commander Kala. Inside the city, everything was strange and beautiful. The streets were made of smooth stone that glowed softly. The buildings reached high into the sky, their crystal walls catching the last light of the setting suns. Vex people walked or floated on small platforms. Some rode on 6-legged animals that looked like a mix between horses and lizards. This is amazing, Sarah whispered, looking around in wonder. The Vex they passed stopped to watch them. Some pointed and talked excitedly. A few small Vex children ran alongside them for a while, giggling and trying to touch Max, who barked at them. They've never seen a dog before, Tom realized. They were taken to a large building in the center of the city. Inside, it was cool and quiet. The walls were covered with moving images that looked like star maps and battle plans. A tall female Vex stood waiting for them. Her skin was a deeper blue than Zorn's, and she wore armor with many small lights on it. All 8 of her eyes looked at Tom and Sarah with intense interest. I am Commander Kala, she said, her voice deep but feminine. Zorn has told me how he found you. Welcome to Krell, humans. Thank you, Tom said nervously. But we really just want to go home. Kala's expression changed. It was hard to read alien faces, but she seemed sad. The portals cannot be controlled. Not by us, not by the Mara. They open and close on their own. So we're stuck here? Sarah asked, her voice breaking. For now, Kala said. But you are not the first humans to come to Krell. Others have made lives here. As weapons, Tom said, remembering what Zorn had told them. That's what the Mara want us for, isn't it? To power their weapons. Kala nodded slowly. The Mara would use you until your minds burn out. We offer protection and freedom. Freedom. Sarah looked doubtful. But you want us to help you too, don't you? Yes, Kala admitted. Human thought energy is powerful. With it, we could end this war. But we would never force you. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the city. Lights flashed on the walls. Vex soldiers ran through the halls. "What's happening?" Tom asked. Kella looked at a large screen that appeared in the air. It showed red ships approaching the city. "The Mara," she said grimly. "They followed you here. They want you badly." Sarah held Max tightly. "What do we do now?" Kella turned to them, all 8 eyes serious. "Now you see why humans are so important in this war. The Mara are attacking with everything they have. Without human help, our shields may not hold." Tom and Sarah looked at each other. They had just wanted a peaceful walk in the forest. Now they were in the middle of an alien war, and both sides wanted to use them as living batteries. "We need to decide," Tom said quietly to Sarah. "Do we help them?" Before Sarah could answer, the building shook as the first Mara bombs hit the city shields. "Great," Sarah said, stroking Max's fur. "So the battle is over, but the war continues." "Yes," Kalla said sadly. "The war never ends. But now you must rest. Tomorrow we will show you more of our world." As Tom and Sarah were led to sleeping quarters, they looked at each other. They had come to Krell as accidental tourists. Now they were valuable weapons in an alien war, and they had just chosen their side. The floor shook again as another bomb hit the shields. Through the crystal walls, Tom and Sarah could see flashes of light in the sky. "We need your help," Commander Kalla said. "The main shield generator is running at half power. With human thought energy, it could be much stronger." Tom looked at Sarah. "What do you think?" Sarah bit her lip. "I don't want to be part of a war," she said. "But I also don't want to be captured by the Mara." "We will not force you," Zorn said. "But know that the Mara will not give you a choice." A loud boom shook the building. Dust fell from the ceiling. "The shields are failing in Section 3, a Vex soldier reported. Kalla turned to Tom and Sarah. "We ask for your help just this once, to protect the city. After that, you are free to choose your path." Tom took a deep breath. "Okay, we'll help you. Just this once." Kalla nodded. "Thank you. Zorn will take you to the shield generator." Zorn led them quickly through the building. The halls were full of Vex running to battle stations. They went down several levels until they reached a large round room. In the center was a tall pillar of blue light. "This is the main shield generator," Zorn explained. "It creates the energy field that protects the city." Several Vex were working at control panels around the pillar. One of them approached. She was smaller than Zorn, with lighter blue skin. "I am Tela, Chief Engineer," she said. "You are the humans. I'm Tom. This is Sarah and our dog, Max." Tela looked at Max with interest. A small earth creature. Fascinating. She turned back to Tom and Sarah. "We need you to stand near the pillar and focus your thoughts." "Focus on what?" Sarah asked. "On protection. On keeping the shield strong. Your intention matters," Tela said. Tom and Sarah moved closer to the pillar. The blue light felt warm, but not hot. "Now, put your hands near the light and focus," Tela instructed. Tom reached out first. As his hand got close to the pillar, the blue light seemed to reach back towards him. It wrapped around his fingers like water, but it didn't feel wet. It felt alive. Sarah did the same. The light curled around her hand too. "Now think about protection," Zorn said. "Think about keeping the city safe." Tom closed his eyes. He thought about shields, about walls, about safety. He imagined the blue light growing stronger, spreading out over the city. Next to him, Sarah was doing the same. Something strange happened. Tom could feel his thoughts connecting with the machine. It was like his mind was flowing into the pillar, becoming part of the shield. He could almost see the entire city in his mind, covered by a blue dome of energy. "It's working," Tela shouted. Shield strength increasing. 60%, 70%, 85%. On the screens around the room, they could see the shield glowing brighter around the city. Mara ships were still attacking, but their bombs were bouncing off the shield now. "This is amazing," Sarah whispered. "I can feel it, Tom. I can feel the shield." Tom nodded. "Me too. It's like we're part of it somehow." For hours, they stood there, focusing their thoughts. The Mara kept attacking, but the shield held strong. Tom and Sarah grew tired, but every time they thought about stopping, they remembered that people's lives depended on them. Finally, the attacks began to slow down. The screen showed Mara ships pulling back, retreating from the city. "They're giving up," a Vex soldier shouted. Cheers erupted around the room. Vex soldiers and engineers hugged each other. Some came to thank Tom and Sarah, touching their shoulders with respect. When it was over, Tom and Sarah were exhausted. They sat on the floor, leaning against each other. Max curled up in Sarah's lap. "You did well," Zorn said, sitting beside them. "You saved many lives today." "It was scary," Sarah admitted, "but also amazing. I never felt anything like that before." "Is this what other humans do here?" Tom asked. "Help power your shields and weapons." Zorn nodded. "Some choose to help us, yes. Others try to stay neutral. A few have been captured by the Mara." "And they use them as weapons?" Sarah asked. "Yes. The Mara care less about human comfort than we do. Zorn hesitated. They use methods that can harm human minds." Tom frowned. "That's terrible." Commander Kala entered the room. All the Vex stood at attention. "The Mara have retreated," she announced. "Thanks to our human friends, the city is safe." She turned to Tom and Sarah. "You have earned the gratitude of all Vex. You will be honored guests here." Tom stood up slowly, his legs shaky from standing so long. "Thank you. But what happens now? We still need to find a way home." Kella's face grew serious. "We will try to help you. But I must warn you, the Mara will not give up. They know you are here now. They will try to take you again." 3 weeks passed since Tom and Sarah helped save the Vex city. They now had their own small home near the city center. The Vex treated them with great respect, giving them food, clothes, and anything else they needed. Max had become popular with Vex children, who loved to play with him in the city parks. Every day, Zorn taught them more about Krell. They learned about the 2 suns, the 6 moons, and the many strange plants and animals. They learned some words in the Vex language, though most Vex spoke English to them through translation devices. "I still miss home," Sarah said one evening as they sat on their balcony, watching the sun set. "But this place is starting to feel not so alien anymore." Tom nodded. "I know what you mean. I wonder if we'll ever get back to Earth." Several times, they had joined Zorn on trips outside the city to look for portal activity. They found nothing. No blue lights, no way home. "We might be here forever," Tom said quietly. That night, as they slept, a soft knock came at their door. Tom got up to answer it. Zorn stood there, looking nervous. "You must come with me," he whispered. "Both of you. Leave the dog here." "What's going on?" Sarah asked, joining them at the door. "I can't explain here," Zorn said. "It's important. Please trust me." Tom and Sarah looked at each other, then followed Zorn. He led them through dark, empty streets. They went down into the lower levels of the city, where the crystal buildings gave way to older structures made of stone. "Where are we going?" Tom whispered. "To meet others like you," Zorn replied. They came to a small door hidden between 2 buildings. Zorn knocked 3 times, then twice more. The door opened, and they went inside. The room was dimly lit. 5 Vex sat around a table. They looked different from the Vex in the upper city. Their armor was simpler, and they seemed tired. "These are the rebels," Zorn explained. "Vex who want to end the war." One of the Vex stood up. "I am Mira. We fight not against the Mara, but against war itself." "I don't understand," Sarah said. "Why did you bring us here?" "Because you need to know the truth," Mira said, "about humans on Krell. She touched a device on the table. A hologram appeared, showing a map of Krell. Small dots of light appeared across the map. Each dot is a human, Mira explained. There are 47 of them on Krell right now. Tom and Sarah stared at the map in shock. So many, Tom whispered. Portals have been opening more often in the last decade, Zorn said. We don't know why. Some of these humans have been on Krell for years, Mira continued. The oldest arrival has been here for 23 years. 23 years. Sarah gasped. That's longer than I've been alive. Where are they all? Tom asked. Mira pointed to different areas on the map. Some live with the Vex, some with the Mara, some try to live in the wild, but all are caught in the war. The Vex High Command and the Mara leaders use humans as weapons, Zorn said. They don't care about returning you to Earth. They want your power. But Commander Kala said they would help us find a way home, Tom argued. Mira laughed bitterly. Kala says many things, but after the attack, did she ever mention portals again? Tom and Sarah looked at each other. Kala had not. The war was dying down before humans started arriving, Mira explained. Both sides were tired of fighting, but then the first human came through a portal. Both sides discovered what human thoughts could do to our technology. And the war got worse, Sarah whispered. Much worse, Zorn confirmed. With human power, weapons became stronger. More people died. Cities were destroyed. The common people of both Vex and Mara want peace, Mira said. Only the leaders want war. Suddenly, the door opened again. A tall human man walked in. He was older, maybe 50, with gray hair and a beard. His eyes widened when he saw Tom and Sarah. New arrivals, he asked, his voice rough as if he hadn't used it in a while. This is Eli, Zorn said. He came through a portal 12 years ago. Eli walked forward and shook their hands. Welcome to the rebellion, he said with a tired smile. Rebellion? Tom asked. What exactly are you planning to do? We're going to free the other humans, Eli said. And then we're going to end this war. Sarah looked doubtful. How? We're just ordinary people. Eli's eyes gleamed. Not here, you're not. Here, humans are the most powerful beings on the planet. And it's time we use that power for peace, not war. It will be dangerous, Zorn warned. Both Vex and Mara leaders will try to stop us. Tom took Sarah's hand. We never asked to be part of this war. But if we can help end it, then maybe we can find a way home, Sarah finished. Or make a new one, Eli added. Either way, we need to stop humans from being used as weapons. Tom looked around the room, at the tired Vex rebels and the determined human. He nodded slowly. I'm in, he said. What's the plan? 1 week later, Tom and Sarah stood at the edge of the Vex city. The night was dark, with only one small moon in the sky. They wore Mara clothes and their skin had been colored red with special paint. Are you sure this will work? Sarah whispered, looking at her red hands. Eli nodded. The disguises will work from a distance. Just keep your heads down and stay quiet. Zorn approached, leading 3 of the 6-legged animals they had seen in the city. These Reitmuths will take us to the border. After that, we walk. Tom patted Max, who was staying behind with Mira. Be good boy. We'll be back soon. The plan was dangerous but simple. They would sneak into the main Mara city, find the humans kept there, and free them. According to Eli, 8 humans were being held in the Mara Tower, forced to power their weapons. They rode through the night, staying away from main roads. The Reitmuths moved quietly for such large animals. By morning, they reached the border between Vex and Mara territories, a wide river of glowing blue water. We leave the Reitmuths here, Zorn said. They crossed the river on a small boat. On the other side, the land looked different. Instead of the purple grass of Vex territory, the ground here was covered with orange moss. Strange trees with red bark grew in twisted shapes. Mara land always looks angry, Eli said with a small smile. They walked for hours. Twice, They had to hide as Mara patrols passed nearby. By afternoon, they saw the Mara city in the distance. Unlike the crystal buildings of the Vex, Mara buildings were made of red metal and black stone. They had sharp angles and pointed tops. Smoke rose from many chimneys, making the air hazy. The humans are kept in the tall tower in the center, Eli explained. I was there for 2 years before I escaped. How did you get away? Sarah asked. Eli's eyes darkened. I learned how to use my human advantage in ways the Mara didn't expect. They think human thought energy can only power their machines. They're wrong. They waited until dark before approaching the city. Zorn gave them each small translation devices to help them understand Mara speech. Remember, act like slaves, Eli said. Keep your eyes down. Don't talk unless you have to. They entered the city through a worker's gate. The guards barely looked at them. Inside, the streets were narrow and crowded. Mara of all sizes pushed past them. Some rode on smaller versions of the ride muffs. Others floated on platforms. They made their way toward the center tower. It was huge, reaching high into the sky. Smoke poured from its top. That's their main weapon factory, Zorn whispered. They make war machines powered by human thought. Getting into the tower was easier than they expected. Eli knew a service entrance used by cleaning staff. They slipped inside and took a lift to the upper levels. The human chamber is on the 53rd floor, Eli said. When they reached the right floor, they found a long hallway with guards at the far end. 2 Mara soldiers stood in front of a large metal door. Now what? Tom whispered. Eli closed his eyes. He seemed to be concentrating hard. Suddenly, the lights in the hallway flickered. The guards looked up in confusion. Then the door they were guarding opened on its own. How did you do that? Sarah asked in amazement. I told you, Eli said. Human thought can do more than just power their machines. We can control them too. I learned how during my time here. The guards ran to check the door. Zorn moved quickly, striking both guards from behind. They fell without a sound. Hurry, he said. They will be missed soon. They ran through the open door into a large round room. Inside were 8 humans, 3 women, 4 men, and 1 teenage boy. They were connected to machines by thin wires attached to their heads. All of them looked pale and thin. We're here to help, Tom said, starting to remove the wires from the nearest person. The humans looked confused and scared. One woman began to cry when Eli removed her wires. It's okay, Sarah said softly. We're taking you away from here. They freed all 8 humans, but some were too weak to walk. Tom and Zorn had to carry 2 of them. We need to hurry, Zorn said. The alarm will sound soon. They were halfway down the hall when sirens began to wail. Red lights flashed along the walls. They know, Eli shouted. Run. They rushed toward the lift, but it was already coming up, filled with guards. This way. Zorn pulled them toward an emergency stairwell. They ran down the stairs as fast as they could. The freed humans moved slowly, their legs weak from disuse. We'll never make it, Sarah said, helping a teenage boy down the steps. Tom suddenly stopped. Maybe we don't need to run. What do you mean? Eli asked. You can control their machines. Tom said. I felt something similar when I helped with the Vex shield. Maybe I can. He closed his eyes and concentrated. The alarm suddenly stopped. The red lights went out. I think I shut down their security system, Tom said, surprised at himself. Eli grinned. Now you're getting it. That's how we fight back. They made it to the ground floor and slipped out through a service door. The city was in chaos, with Mara soldiers running in all directions. Head for the east gate, Eli instructed. Stay in the shadows. They were almost there when a loud voice called out, Stop right there. They turned to see a group of Mara soldiers, led by a tall Mara with elaborate armor. The soldiers surrounded them, weapons pointed at their heads. Humans trying to escape, the lead Mara said. And a Vex spy too. He looked directly at Zorn. "Drop your weapons." Zorn stepped forward. "Let the humans go. Your fight is with me." "Our fight is with anyone who steals our property," the Mara leader said. "Take them all." The soldiers moved in. Sarah closed her eyes, expecting to be captured. Instead, she heard the sound of Mara weapons powering down. She opened her eyes to see Tom, his face intense with concentration. "Their weapons, I'm shutting them down," he gasped. "Run," Eli shouted. They ran through the streets of the Mara city. The rescued humans moved slowly, so Tom, Sarah, Eli, and Zorn helped them along. Behind them, the Mara soldiers struggled with their broken weapons. "Head for the east gate," Zorn shouted. They pushed through crowded streets. Mara citizens stared at them, but stepped aside. News spread quickly that humans were escaping, and more soldiers appeared ahead of them. "We're trapped," Sarah gasped. Eli pointed to a small alley. "This way. I know another way out." They followed him down narrow paths between buildings. The sounds of pursuit grew fainter. After many turns, they came to a low wall at the edge of the city. "Over this," Eli said, helping the weakest humans climb. Once over the wall, they found themselves in a field of orange moss. In the distance, the Blue River marked the border to Vex territory. "We need to hurry," Zorn said, looking at the sky. "Mara flyers will search for us soon." They moved as fast as they could, but the rescued humans were weak from years of captivity. A young woman collapsed, too tired to go on. "I can't," she whispered. "Leave me." "No one gets left behind," Tom said firmly. He picked her up and carried her. They were halfway to the river when they heard the sound of engines. 3 Mara ships appeared in the sky, flying low. "They found us," Zorn said grimly. The ships circled overhead, then landed in front of them, blocking their path. Doors opened, and Mara soldiers poured out, weapons ready. A tall Mara stepped forward. He wore gold armor and had 6 arms instead of 4. "I am General Kron," he said. "You have stolen Mara property. Return the humans now." "Humans are not property," Sarah said angrily. "They're people." General Kron laughed. "They are batteries for our weapons. Nothing more." "We won't let you take them back," Tom said. "You have no choice," Kron replied. "My soldiers' weapons are working again. You cannot escape." Zorn stepped forward. "Then we fight." It seemed hopeless. There were at least 50 Mara soldiers against their small group. Many of the rescued humans could barely stand. "Wait," Eli said quietly. "Tom, Sarah, remember what you did with the weapons and security systems. We can do more." Tom nodded. "All of us together." He turned to the freed humans. "Focus your thoughts. Think about the ships. Think about shutting them down." The 8 rescued humans looked confused but did as he asked. Tom, Sarah, and Eli closed their eyes in concentration. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the lights on the Mara ships flickered and went out. The engines sputtered and died. General Kron looked around in shock. "What are you doing? Stop that." But the humans didn't stop. The Mara weapons began to shake in their hands, then fell apart. The soldiers backed away in fear. "More," Eli urged. "Push harder." The ground under the Mara began to shake. Cracks appeared in the earth. The orange moss glowed brightly, responding to the human thoughts. "Impossible," General Kron whispered. "No human has this much power." "You never understood what humans can really do," Eli said. "You just used them. But together, we're more powerful than you know." The Mara soldiers began to run, afraid of the strange power the humans were showing. Only General Kron remained, his face angry. "This isn't over," he hissed. "The war will continue." "No," Tom said. "The war ends today." Just then, they heard a new sound. Looking up, they saw Vex ships approaching fast. The ships landed nearby, and Vex soldiers rushed out. Tom expected help, but the Vex soldiers pointed weapons at them too. Commander Kala stepped forward. "Return to the city immediately," she ordered. "The humans belong to the Vex now." Tom looked at Sarah in shock. "They're just like the Mara. They only want to use us. We won't go with either side," Sarah said. Commander Kala frowned. "You have no choice. Without human power, we cannot win this war." "Maybe the war should end," Tom suggested. "Maybe both Vex and Mara should find peace." Kala laughed. "Peace? Impossible. We have fought for too long." "Then we'll make it possible," Eli said. He turned to the other humans. Together, all 11 humans formed a circle. They joined hands and closed their eyes. The rescued humans were gaining strength now, understanding their power. The air around them began to shimmer. Both Vex and Mara watched in confusion as a blue light formed above the humans, growing larger. "What is that?" a Mara soldier asked. "It looks like..." Zorn's voice trailed off in wonder. "It looks like a portal." The blue light expanded, becoming a glowing doorway. Through it, they could see images, stars, planets, and finally, Earth. "We're creating a way home," Sarah realized. "Not just that," Eli said. "We're creating a message." The portal grew until it was enormous, visible for miles in every direction. Images began to appear in it. Scenes of the war, of humans being used by both sides, and finally, images of peace between Vex and Mara. The images broadcast into the minds of every Vex and Mara on the planet. In cities across Krell, people stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky. Through the portal, a voice spoke. It was all the humans together. "This war ends today." For 3 days after the humans created the giant portal, both Vex and Mara leaders remained silent. Ordinary citizens from both sides gathered at the border, watching the huge blue doorway that still floated in the sky. The images of war and peace continued to play, reaching the minds of everyone on Krell. Tom, Sarah, Eli, and the other humans stayed in a neutral area near the river. Zorn remained with them, along with a few Mara who had decided to join their cause. "Do you think it's working?" Sarah asked as she sat with Tom by a small fire. Max had been brought from the Vex City and now slept at their feet. "People are talking," Tom said. "Look at them." He pointed to where groups of Vex and Mara stood together at the river's edge. They weren't fighting. Some were even sharing food. Ela joined them, sitting down heavily. He looked tired but happy. "I've spoken with some of the older humans. They say they've never seen Vex and Mara together like this, not in 20 years. On the morning of the 4th day, a large ship landed near their camp. It was neither Vex nor Mara in design, but a mix of both styles. Commander Kala and General Kron stepped out together. "They're not trying to kill each other," Sarah whispered in surprise. "That's new." All the humans gathered together as the two leaders approached. Zorn stood with them, ready to protect his friends if needed. "We wish to speak with you," Commander Kala said. Her voice was not commanding now, but respectful. Tom stepped forward. "We're listening." General Kron looked uncomfortable, but he spoke. "For 10 years, we have fought over resources, territory, and power. For the last 5 years, we have fought over humans. What you showed us through the portal has reached every Vex and Mara on Krell." Kala continued. "Our people are tired of war. They want peace." "So do we," Tom said. "But we won't help either side make weapons anymore." Kron nodded slowly. "We understand now. Humans are not tools. You are people with your own powerful minds." "We have spoken with our councils," Kala said. "Both sides agree that the war must end. We are ready to sign a peace treaty." The humans looked at each other in amazement. Their plan had worked better than they had hoped. "What about the humans on Krell?" Eli asked. "Many of us want to go home." "Our scientists will work together to study the portals," Kron said. "We will try to find a way to open them safely, so those who wish to return to Earth may do so." "And those who choose to stay?" Sarah asked, thinking of the humans who had been on Krell for many years. They will be welcome as equals, not as weapons, Kala promised. We have much to learn from each other. 1 week later, a grand ceremony was held at the border. Thousands of Vex and Murray gathered to watch their leaders sign the peace treaty. Humans stood as witnesses, no longer captives or weapons, but honored guests. After the ceremony, Tom and Sarah walked along the Blue River with Zorn. "What will you do now?" Zorn asked. "Will you return to Earth when the scientists open a portal?" Tom and Sarah looked at each other. They had talked about this many times over the past week. "I miss home," Sarah admitted. "But there's so much to learn here. So much we can do to help." "We thought we might stay a while," Tom said. "Help build something new here. Something peaceful." Zorn smiled, his 6 eyes blinking happily. "I am glad. You will always have a friend in me." 6 months later, the scientists made a breakthrough. They created a stable portal to Earth, one that could be opened and closed safely. It was placed in a special building that stood exactly on the border between Vex and Mera territories. Some humans chose to go home immediately. Tearful goodbyes were said as they stepped through the blue doorway back to forests and cities on Earth. Others, like Eli, decided to stay permanently. "Earth hasn't been my home for 12 years, he explained. "My life is here now." Tom and Sarah chose a middle path. They went home for a visit, taking Max with them. They hugged their families, told their incredible story, though few believed them, and promised to return again soon. When they came back to Krell, they found a new settlement being built. It wasn't Vex or Mara, but a place for all 3 species to live together. Humans, Vex, and Mara worked side by side, building homes and schools and parks. "What should we call this place?" a young Mara asked Tom as they helped lay stones for a new building. Tom thought for a moment, then smiled. "How about Walkway? Because it all started with a walk in the forest." Sarah laughed when she heard the name. "From a walk to a war to a new world," she said. "Not bad for a Saturday hike." As the sun set over Krell that evening, Tom and Sarah stood on a hill overlooking Walkway. Max chased flying jellyfish, barking happily. In the distance, the portal building glowed softly, a bridge between 2 worlds. "Do you ever regret it?" Sarah asked, walking toward that light in the forest. Tom took her hand. "Never," he said. "It's been quite an adventure." "And it's not over yet," Sarah replied, looking at the new world being built before them.